They said, sir, I just think it's inappropriate for you to say. I said, well, I'm going to do it whether the women like it or not. I'm going to do it whether the women like it or not. 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 I'm going to do it whether the women like it or not. Kamala has imported criminal migrants from prisons and jails, from insane asylums and mental institutions all over the world, from Venezuela to the Congo, including savage criminals who assault, rape, and murder our women and girls. Anyone who would let monsters kidnap and kill our children does not belong anywhere near the Oval Office. And my people told me about 4 weeks ago, I was saying, no, I want to protect the people. I want to protect the women of our country. I want to protect the women. Sir, please don't say that. Why? They said, we think it's very inappropriate for you to say. I said, why? I'm president. I want to protect the women of our country. They said. They said, sir, I just think it's inappropriate for you to say. Pay these guys a lot of money. Can you believe it? I said, well, I'm going to do it whether the women like it or not. I'm going to protect them.
All right, guys. So we got to talk about more fake outrage from the mainstream liberal media because they're desperately trying to take attention away from the fact that Joe Biden called Trump supporters garbage. Okay. Biden said out loud what all these individuals actually think. Okay. And because they spent 72 hours pearl clutching over a joke that a comedian gave at the Trump Madison Square Garden rally, they were forced to cover what Joe Biden said. So now they're trying to get off of that very quickly by trying to find something that Trump said that they can latch on to and fearmonger about. And this time, it really shows you how desperate the media is in regards to attacking Trump, where they really don't care about context at all when it comes to what Trump says. But when Biden said something, oh, context, apostrophe S, right? This is the mainstream liberal media, guys, because Trump at his rally in Wisconsin, in which he showed up in a garbage man uniform, again, a reference to Joe Biden's comments, he talked about protecting women from illegal immigrants. And for whatever reason, CNN and their propagandists are trying to spin this as some type of threat that Trump issued towards women because he claims that he wants to protect women, and he says that he's going to protect women regardless of whether or not women like him saying that he's going to protect women. Take a look.
Let's talk about this. Trump admits his advisors have told him not to use this line about protecting women. He did not listen, and he added to it. Listen.
About 4 weeks ago, I was saying, no, I want to protect the people. I want to protect the women of our country. I want to protect the women. Sir, please don't say that. Why? They said, we think it's very inappropriate for you to say. So why? I'm president. I want to protect the women of our country. Well, I'm going to do it whether the women like it or not. I'm going to protect them.
Whether the women like it or not. Doesn't that sound like an odd threat? What's the message to women here, Tricia?
I'm certainly less concerned about how Donald Trump said it versus I am concerned that Donald Trump said that he would protect women's health care and women's reproductive health care. That's incredibly important to me. The fact that him and J.D. Vance back IVF, the fact that he said he would not sign a national abortion ban. This is a real area of not only of political vulnerability for Republicans, but I think a governance vulnerability for Republicans. We've seen, major issues in different states where laws have not been carried out the way that they should be. And the result is that women were hurt or put in very bad medical circumstances. So I'm really glad that Donald Trump stepped up and said that. And I'm looking forward to hearing more specifics.
Yeah, so I'm not sure in what world do you interpret what Trump said as some type of threat towards women. But in CNN's propaganda world, where they're trying to essentially sway the outcome of the election on behalf of Democrats, that is how they interpret it, right? But yet, when Biden called Trump supporters garbage, no, you're not supposed to interpret it that way. You're supposed to interpret it in a way in which he's only talking about the comedian, right? He's not talking about all Trump supporters. He's not talking about half the country. You guys see how this works? Trump says, I want to protect women from illegal immigrants. CNN plays a clip out of context and then tries to say that Trump is issuing a threat because he says that I'm going to talk about protecting women and how I'm going to protect women, regardless of whether or not women like it. This is where we're at, guys. And I just want to be clear. This is election interference, right? When people talk about interfering in the elections and how the outcome of elections are swung, right? This is it, right? This is what they do. Okay. Stuff like this is just, it's flat out election interference. That is what's happening. So without further ado, I want to react to this clip from CNN, where John Berman is going to press Byron Donalds on Trump saying that he wants to protect women. Because again, we're living in Cuckoo for Cocoa Puff world where saying that you want to protect women is somehow, some way controversial. Let's get into it.
With us now is Congressman Byron Donalds, a Republican from Florida. Congressman, thank you so much for being with us. I want to play a little bit of what Donald Trump said last night about protecting women.
I said, well, I'm going to do it whether the women like it or not. I'm going to protect them.
All right. Why is Donald Trump telling women he will do things whether they like it or not?
Well, let me answer this question before Byron Donalds gets into it. Well, it's because that's the role of a man. A role of a man is to protect women whether or not they like it. It doesn't matter if they like it. It is the man's role to protect women. It's really that simple. And again, it's a damn shame that we live in a country where we have to question the role of a man, and we find it controversial when a man reiterates and states what the role of a man is, right? The role of a man is to protect women. It's really that simple. And again, it doesn't matter whether or not they like it. And in fact, I would go as far as to argue that if our country was governed in a way in which we did things, regardless of whether or not women like it, then we'll be in a much better place.
John, that is grossly inaccurate what you just played. Play the full clip, play it in its context. He was talking about the tragedy at our southern border that led to the death of Jocelyn Nungare. Jocelyn's mother has come out and endorsed Donald Trump because she fully believes that if Donald Trump was president, her daughter would be alive. And so what he was talking about was, I'm going to protect women. I'm going to protect children. And then he was just telling a joke. Really, he was telling a joke about how some of the staff said, no, don't say you would protect women, because they would take it out of context. Obviously, what CNN is doing right now, taking it out of context.
No. You're actually, you have the exact right context. You have the exact right context here, Congressman.
Aliens, especially violent, illegal alien criminals who have raped and who have murdered women in the United States.
Congressman, you just explained the exact right context was with Donald Trump's story was telling people how people close to him, okay, his advisors were telling him not to use that type of language, to say, I'm going to be your protector. And John, that is the context in that speech. No. John, that was what he was doing. And then he said, I'm going to protect them, the women, whether they like it or not. And I'm not the only one asking you about this language. Donald Trump, his advisors clearly knew it was an issue. And Nikki Haley has been talking about the language that Donald Trump... hang on, Congressman. Nikki Haley, this is what she said about the type of language that Trump and Trump supporters have been using. Listen.
I mean, this bromance and this masculinity stuff, I mean, it borders on edgy to the point that it's going to make women uncomfortable. You know, you've got affiliated PACs that are doing commercials about calling Kamala the C word, or you had speakers at Madison Square Gardens, you know, referring to her and her pimps. That is not the way to win women.
What I tell you guys about Nikki Haley yesterday? I made a video yesterday about Nikki Haley and how she's acting as a double agent. She's trying to undermine Trump while pretending to be supporting Trump because she always goes on national television and trashes Trump, right? Gives backhanded compliments and lip service to his campaign while at the same time essentially trying to undermine his campaign by boohoo whining, crying, masculinity, bromance. I mean, she's essentially trying to cross sexism, right? That's essentially what she's trying to do without outright saying it. And the biggest problem with this, as I talked about yesterday, was the fact that the liberal media would weaponize what Nikki Haley said and use it against Trump. And lo and behold, that's what they're doing. Okay, they're doing that right now with Byron Donalds. They're doing it on MSNBC. And Nikki Haley knows this. She's actively trying to undermine Trump with women voters. Instead of getting her ass out there on the campaign trail and actually helping Trump win by talking to these women who may be uncomfortable with Trump for whatever reason, because of abortion or whatever, okay? Instead of actually doing the work, no, she's sitting back, going on Fox News, trashing Trump, and then pretending as if, oh, well, Trump doesn't want me to help him out. I'm on the sidelines waiting. No. You don't want to help Trump out. You don't want to because, again, Nikki Haley wants Trump to lose. She wants Trump to lose so that she can come out and say, I told you he would lose. I told you if he was the GOP nominee that Kamala Harris would become president. And look, I was right. And that's going to be her whole thing in 2028 if Trump loses. Well, I was right. That's what it's going to be. And if Trump wins, then she'll come out and say, well, I endorsed him, even though I was giving these backhanded compliments to him, to the campaign, and I wasn't really helping. I didn't really campaign, and I was trying to undermine him. I endorsed him, right? I was part of the reason why my voters supported him. She's trying to play both sides. She's trying to have her cake and eat it too. But again, she's hoping that Trump loses. And again, this is why she put that out there, because she knew that this would happen. She knew. And this is why I can't stand politicians like Nikki Haley. Can't stand her. I mean, I'm never Nikki at this point, okay? You got never Trumpers out there. I'm never Nikki, because she's an underhanded, backstabbing neocon that voters, the GOP, should never trust, right? You should never trust a politician like Nikki Haley. She will sell you out in a heartbeat. No doubt in my mind.
So you're telling me there's no concern from Nikki Haley or, clearly, as Donald Trump said, from people close to him, his campaign, about the type of language he's using?
John, listen, I love the selective editing this morning. You guys are conflating two very separate things. Let's get to the core of the message that you played at the beginning. Donald Trump was talking about protecting women and children in our country from the ravages of illegal immigration. You see it now. We all know the headlines. Jocelyn Nungaray, Rachel Morin, Laken Riley. These are women who were brutalized, killed, raped because of the border. And so Donald Trump is going to protect women in our country. He's going to protect children in our country.
Why say whether they like it or not?
We have lost 350,000 children in the United States.
Why say whether the women will like it or not?
Because ultimately, at the end of the day, I know Byron Donalds can't say this because he's an actual sitting congressman, right? So he has to be careful how he navigates these waters. But I don't. I'm a commentator. I can just tell it how it is, because we understand that this is in the best interest of women. And a lot of times women don't vote in their best interest. Okay. They vote for very emotional reasons. They support things that they probably shouldn't be supporting for very emotional reasons. And sometimes a man has to step up and to do things regardless of whether or not women like it, because it's for the good of the country and society as a whole. It's really that simple. Now, in the ideal world, okay, if we had Republicans who weren't afraid to actually, again, tell it like it is and to embrace traditional roles, that is what Byron Donalds would be saying. Again, I understand why he's not going there, okay, because you're trying to win an election. You don't want to piss off too many women. But again, the answer really should be, because that's a man's job, right? A man's job is to protect women, and that's just what it is. He should be driving home that point.
Why say whether the women will like it or not?
What I will tell you is that, once again, if you're going to clip 5 seconds out of an hour speech and not provide context, this is why the American people, frankly, are frustrated with media, because you guys play games, you take things out of context, you don't explain them clearly, and you want to get caught up in semantics. The heart of what Donald Trump said very clearly is he's going to protect the women of our country, because Kamala Harris and Joe Biden have refused to protect the women of our country, and that's a president should protect women and protect all Americans.
Congressman, here's a longer clip. Here's a longer clip of him, which leads up to him saying that he, despite what the advisors say he's going to protect the women whether they like it or not. Listen.
4 weeks ago, I was saying, no, I want to protect the people. I want to protect the women of our country. I want to protect the women. Sir, please don't say that. Why? They said, we think it's very inappropriate for you to say. I said, why? They said, sir, I just think it's inappropriate for you to say. Pay these guys a lot of money. Can you believe it? I said, well, I'm going to do it whether the women like it or not. I'm going to protect them.
Wow. You see how underhanded CNN is? This guy says, well, I'm going to play the longer clip, but he just doesn't play the part of the clip that Byron Donalds is talking about leading up to Trump saying that, which is about the border, right? It's just funny how he says, oh, I'm going to play the longer clip, but doesn't play the actual clip of Trump talking about the border and the negative effects of having the open border and why he said what he said. This is election interference, guys. This is what we're witnessing. And it's so blatant, right? That's the crazy part. It's so blatant and in your face. They really think that the American people are stupid. This is why alternative media is so important. Alternative media is extremely important for holding these media outlets accountable, because you're only going to get the full context from alternative media outlets like the one that you're watching right now.
Congressman?
And you know what happened after that was made? The women in Green Bay, Wisconsin, they stood on their feet and they cheered loudly because they want a president of the United States who's going to follow the law, who's actually going to enforce our borders. It's going to make sure that we don't have 14,000 illegal aliens who have been convicted of murder in our country, roaming free. The stories have been happening in every city of America where women have been victimized. Let's talk about the young girls
Congressman,
who are illegal in our country.
If you don't want to answer my question, if you don't want to answer my question, can you address Nikki Haley's comments?
John, I just answered your question.
You didn't address Nikki Haley's comments. Nikki Haley says that there's a type of language that listen, Congressman.
At this point.
Okay, so do you think Nikki Haley's comments are irrelevant? That's your answer. That's your answer to Nikki Haley, then. That Nikki Haley's irrelevant?
No, John, it's not. John, the answer that matters 5 days before an election is this. You have young girls who are from other countries who are trafficked to our southern border by the drug cartels. They are raped. They are sold into sex slavery.
Nikki Haley agrees with you on immigration, Congressman. Nikki Haley was talking about the language that Donald Trump is using.
So you want me to talk about what Nikki Haley said about the lineup at Madison Square Garden?
I want you to address, not the lineup at Madison Square Garden, the type of language that's being used by Donald Trump and others on the trail. She's saying it doesn't connect with women. What's your answer to what Nikki Haley is saying, Congressman?
John, I saw Nikki Haley's comments in their entirety. What she was talking about was the lineup of speakers at the Madison Square Garden rally. What Nikki Haley was saying is, well, how come there weren't more women? My response the other day was, well, Elise Stefanik is a woman. She spoke.
Once again, you're actually changing the context here. She's talking about an ad.
John, you don't want me to answer the question?
Let me play an ad.
Well, what I would like to know is what is wrong with Trump saying that he wants to protect women, right? That's the question I'll be asking. Why are you trying to confront me with a clip of Trump saying he wants to protect women as if that's a bad thing, as if that is controversial? What is controversial about saying that the president of the United States wants to protect women, John? That's the question that I have. Why is it that you're trying to mix in these comments with Nikki Haley's comments about how Republicans need to watch their language when it comes to how they talk about women, as if there's anything wrong with saying that the president of the United States wants to protect women? I don't understand it. I don't get it. But again, this is what we're talking about, right? In regards to how CNN, they're making on-air contributions to the Democrat Party, right? This is an on-air contribution. This whole segment is them trying to blow up something that Trump said to make it seem like he's saying something that is creepy, right? This is what it is come down to. This is high school stuff. Oh, well, Trump said he wants to protect women. That's creepy, right? That's what this is. That's exactly what this is. Shameful. Absolutely shameful.
That she talked about specifically there that comes from a super PAC funded by Elon Musk, which is supportive of Donald Trump. That's some of the language in the ad. Let's play it.
Kamala Harris is a C word. You heard that right. A big old C word. In fact, all of the other C words think she's the biggest C word of them all. That's right, she's a tax-hiking, regulation-loving, gun-grabbing communist.
Yo, low-key, I think that's a good ad, right? Low-key, I don't see anything wrong with that ad. The problem are the people who think that the C word means something other than communist, right? You're the problem, okay? Because if you just assume that the C word is another C word that I can't say, then, you know, hey, I think your mind is more in the gutter, right? Your mind is in the gutter, and you're the problem, to be honest with you.
That's what Nikki Haley is talking about, Congressman.
Okay, and that's Nikki's talking about that. That's not that from Donald Trump's campaign. It's from an outside group. You're assuming that Donald Trump can control what outside groups do. He cannot. That would be a violation of federal election law. You know this, John. So for Nikki Haley to try to put that on Donald Trump is not accurate. That's for outside groups to deal with. We could talk about the outside groups that are running ads against Donald Trump, calling him a fascist, liking him to Hitler, knowing the fact that there's been 2 attempts on his life, but they do it anyway. So don't try to just talk about what one super PAC did, because you're trying to run this clip from last night in Green Bay, again, taking the context away from our discussion today. The true context is that Donald Trump's going to do the job that a commander-in-chief should do, which is following the law, securing our borders, and yes, deporting a lot of illegal immigrants out of the country. This is why Americans favor Donald Trump when it comes to securing our border and immigration by double digits over Kamala Harris, because she's been an abject failure. And those are the facts.
Congressman Byron Donalds from Florida. The context is there's 5 days to go in this election, and the context is we like to show what the candidates are saying. We appreciate you being.
Yeah, no, you don't. No, you do not. No, you do not. That is a lie. That is a lie. Again, it's amazing. It's amazing. When it comes to Trump, context doesn't matter, right? They'll take anything he says out of context, they'll blow it up into something that is not. But when it comes to Biden, though, right, he'll clearly say Trump supporters are garbage. Oh, context. You guys need to understand the context, right? Biden says Trump needs to be locked up in prison. Oh, context, okay? But if Trump says that there's going to be an economic bloodbath, oh, Trump says there's going to be a bloodbath. He's calling for violence, right? It doesn't matter the context. It's amazing. It's night and day, man. And the American people can see it. That's the crazy part. They think that American people are so dumb that they're going to be fooled by this. And don't get me wrong. There's a significant portion of this country that are fooled by this, right? They will fall for this. But again, this is why alternative media is so important, because outlets like mine, you know, I have to show the full context and to push back against this, because again, this is just outright election interference from CNN and the liberal media. And they're just overt about it. They're overtly just trying to sway the outcome of the election in favor of Kamala Harris and Democrats. I mean, they really should register as a political organization, because that's what they're acting as at this point, right? That's what they are. So, hey, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.